So starting with the default table again, let's create a to-do list spreadsheet with some special functionality in it. So we'll start off, we'll get rid of the column, the header column here, and then we'll create columns for tasks, for a due date for the task, and something to indicate whether or not it's done. And let's create a bunch of different tasks here. And then we'll assign a bunch of due dates for these. And then here for done, we'll use checkboxes. So I'll go to Format Cell and then go to Checkbox so we can check off when an item is complete. We'll call this To-Do List. And one of the things we can do, since we have the dates here, is see if something is overdue. And we could do that with a formula. We could use the now function, which basically is the current time, the current day and time. And we can subtract the due date. So we get something here where it says, okay, the current day is 14 days after this. And if we paste it in, we see that's 4 days later. I can continue to paste it in. You can see I get negative durations here. These are all durations. The negative durations mean that the item is not overdue at all. It's only overdue if it's positive. Now we don't want to have it shown as overdue if we've already done it. So if something is checked off, it should not be shown as overdue. So how do we do that? Well, let's change the formula here. I'll delete all of these. Instead, we'll start with an if. So do if, and the first part of an if function is a condition. We can use this as the condition. We don't even have to test it against anything. If it's true, then let's put a blank there, just 2 quotes to indicate a blank. And if it's not true, then we can perform that same calculation that we had before. So now minus the due date. And that way we get that, we copy, we paste into all of these, and we could see that there's nothing there. It's not overdue. If we check this one off, you can see that's not overdue either. So this is nice. We could actually get things done and it's removed from overdue. Now what would be nice is if things that are not due yet aren't listed as overdue. So let's make things more complex. Let's delete all these except this one here, and we'll go in and we'll make this if statement a little more complex. Instead of just testing for this one condition, we'll test for 2 conditions. So we'll do an or and parentheses, and we'll put the 2 conditions in here. And one of those is if it's done. Then that's one condition that makes sense, that we don't have anything under overdue. The other one, I'll put a comma there, the other one is if now is less than, and it's going to fight us here on the syntax, is less than the due date. Or conversely, we could say if the due date is greater than now. So it's not due yet. We close a parenthesis there. So we have the or statement here testing for 2 conditions. If either one of them is true, put nothing there. Otherwise, give us a duration that's the current time minus the due date. And now we can copy and paste. And we could see it does not include the ones that have due dates in the future, and also would not include ones that there's a check mark. Now let's have a column here that kind of does the same thing, but it's kind of the opposite. So we'll test here and we'll say, okay, if, and either it's done or the due date is less than now, so not greater than now, but less than now, then put nothing. Otherwise, put the due date minus now. And the idea here is we want to see how many days we have until something is due. So I'll copy this cell here and I'll paste it here. And we could see it automatically does not put put things that have passed due, and it won't put things that are checked off as being done, but it will give us readouts for things that are coming up. So we know in 5 days this one is due. Now, what would be nice is if we didn't have this, days, hours, minutes, seconds, since we're only putting dates here anyway. We're not going to count down until midnight. Let's select these 2 columns here, change the data format to duration, and let's use custom units here. So I'm going to click custom units and say I just want the days, not anything else. So you play around with these until you get just day showing, or you can choose from here for the style. So 0 days. So each one of these now has a number of days, which is much easier to see. In addition, we can color these in. So we could do conditional highlighting, but there's no need, because if something's listed in overdue, it's something we want to pay attention to. So we could set the text of these to, be red, maybe bold for all of these. So anything that appears here, if we get those done, we don't see any of those. But if there's items there, we see it. We can shrink this table down now to make it nice and neat. And there we have, a to-do list, maybe not a to-do list manager for day-to-day work, but perhaps a to-do list for a project that you're working on. In fact, this document could have multiple sheets in it dealing with different aspects of a project, and one of those could be a to-do list here where you can check things off and see what milestones are coming up and which ones are overdue.